Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 20 of A Week in Watches, which is a weekly look back at Watch World and everything that happened in it. As you can see, we are out of the studio and we are actually at Windup Watch Fair New York City 2022. So this episode's going to be a little different from other episodes. We're going to take a walk around the show and I'm going to show you a handful of new releases that were launched kind of day of the start of the show. Today's actually Saturday, so it started yesterday. As you can see, it's a pretty good turnout. We're doing this in the middle of the show, so it's going to be an interesting one for sure. This week's episode is brought to you by Jack Mason. Based in Texas, Jack Mason's slogan is premium watches for all enthusiasts, which is something we can obviously get behind. Stay tuned for later in the episode when we take a look at Jack Mason's new GMT. Our first stop is Yema from France. So Yema is a historical watch brand that's been making watches, particularly sports watches, since the mid-century. They've gained popularity again in the US in the last couple of years with their Superman dive watches, as well as a slew of other watches. But their announcement at the Windup Watch Fair is actually incredibly exciting, and that is the first watch that is featuring their in-house micro-rotor movement. So this is the Wristmaster, which is a watch they actually had before, but now featuring the micro-rotor movement, which, as you can see, keeps it nice and thin. So this watch is about 9.3-ish or something around there, millimeters thick, but it is obviously an automatic. Either way, we actually talked about this movement when it was first announced, but we hadn't seen what it looked like or where it was going to be featured, so now we know. This will be launching on Kickstarter on November 15th. It's a limited edition. There are 3 colorways. And as you can see from this watch I'm holding here, we'll have some close-ups too, they actually color the movement to match the dials, which is pretty rad. On Kickstarter, they will be priced at just under $2,000, which is a really fantastic and kind of incredible deal for a micro-rotor automatic and in-house, so all those things. So this is just a really exciting and very cool development from Yema. Now we're taking a look at the brand new Laurier Gemini Series 2. So I think many of you are familiar with Laurier. They probably don't need an introduction. Their Gemini line is their only chronograph line in their sort of mid-century styled sports watch range. It's a big hit when they launched it originally. We actually did an LE with them back in the day based on it. It's a Seagull ST19 powered chronograph, but it comes in at just under $500. So for the Series 2, they made various case refinements. I think it's actually about a millimeter shorter lug to lug, some other subtle changes all around. But this color, as you can see, is really a departure from what they usually do. It's got a bright yellow dial, a unique compact style with one filled in counter here. So there's a really cool asymmetrical look, which I really like. And then they also changed the handset. So there is other models with the original handset. All the original colors are still there, but they made this sort of wilder color, which is just kind of cool and different from them. Additionally, you'll see that the bracelet is different. Laurier is known for their bracelet design, and this is a whole new bracelet. They're calling it the Epsilon bracelet. It's a 5-link. It's really thin, has a beautiful feel to it. A really fantastic package, once again, for them for around $500. So that's the new Laurier Gemini Series 2. Before we continue our tour of Windup Watch Fair NYC 2022, a word from our sponsor, Jack Mason.
Jack Mason's new Strat-o-timer GMT marks a turning point for the Texas-based brand. Measuring 40 by 47 by 13 millimeters, including the crystal, it features the new and very exciting Miyota 9075 automatic. This is a true GMT with local jumping hours that is ideal for traveling. And the watch is designed with just the right amount of vintage hues. From a boxed sapphire crystal to a split-color 24-hour bezel and a Jubilee bracelet, the Strat-o-timer is a functional, stylish, and value-packed new offering, coming in at $999. It's also the first watch from Jack Mason to be assembled and regulated in the United States, which is always exciting. The first 500 sold also get 2 free straps with purchase. So check the Strat-o-timer and more out now at jackmasonbrand.com.
Now we're taking a look at the brand new Mark II Paradive Type 13. Another really cool launch from Mark II, always a popular brand with the worn-around community. If you're familiar with them, they do a lot of work based on military watches, usually sort of staying very true to some of those designs. In this case, they did something a little bit more conceptual that's really neat. So, they based this watch, the Type 1, on the Type 2, kind of Vietnam-era military divers before. The Type 13 takes it in a slightly different direction. So the idea here is, sometimes when those watches would go back for repair, they would get like surplus dials and sort of end up kind of like Frankenstein by nature. And so they sort of embraced that story and played with the design. So the dial here, you might be looking at saying, oh, that looks familiar. This is one of the dial styles that Bill Yao actually created back in his Seiko modding days, the early days of Mark II. So it's actually sort of paying tribute to his own history. And looks fantastic in this case, by the way. And then you have like a variation on the military handset here. Really big, chunky hour and minute hand. I believe there's some Kontiki reference there. And then the orange second hand as well. But otherwise, it's just a really robust Mark II Paradive, powered by the Seiko, I believe, NE15 movement there. It's a cool watch with a really cool story from Mark II. And now we're going to check out the Nodus Sector GMT. Watch just launched by the California-based sports watch brand. They have a really keen eye for detail, as well as for making very well-priced watches, and this is no exception to that. This is based on their sector design. Obviously, you can see the numerals here, but this is powered by the relatively new Seiko GMT movement. That is really exciting, addition to the watch world, because this watch with the GMT comes in under $500. So really exceptional value there. It's a 38 millimeter watch, and as you can see, this version here, and I believe there will be other versions, including a black one, which is behind me, has this really exceptionally beautiful blue dial, a split chapter, rehaut there in yellow and silver. So yeah, keep an eye out for this in the coming weeks for them to launch this fully on their website. But yeah, that's the Nodus Sector GMT, launched at Windup Watch Fair. Here I have the brand new Fears Brunswick 40. Fears is a British brand that is a revival of a historic brand, and they've been making like really beautiful high-end watches in a sort of more classic dress style for a handful of years now, gaining steam. Now they've released a somewhat sportier model, but based on an existing case. So this one's 40 millimeters, as the name describes. That's a little bit larger. Comes on a bracelet, has 100 meters water resistance, powered by an ETA 2824, and the pricing is a little bit north of 3,000 pounds. I don't know the conversion to USD right now. It comes in 3 colors at launch, including the kind of beautiful Fears blue that you see here. There's really an incredible amount of fit and finish in these watches, which you might not be able to see at this distance, but that's sort of what sets them apart. You'd also see it's actually relatively thin for what it is. Feels really beautiful as well. So that's the Fears Brunswick 40. If you've been looking for a sportier option from Fears. And now we're going to check out the newest watch from Zodiac. This is the Super Seawolf Ceramic. So if you're familiar with Zodiac and the Super Seawolf, this is not going to be that crazy of a watch to you. It's got all the trappings of the compressor line, except for that the case is made out of a beautiful sort of black gunmetal ceramic. And then it features a midnight blue sunray dial, which is like a really dark, inky black blue with a cool kind of gray around it. This is the first time that they have used ceramic on their case. It's to celebrate, the brand and how far that has come in its history since, I believe, 1882. This is a chronometer as well, powered by the SCP 1-11 movement. And this one is going to go for $16.95, and I believe it might even be available now. So go check that out. This is definitely a very cool watch. If you're into ceramic or into Super Seawolves, this is a really unique offering from Zodiac. And that's it for episode 20 of A Week in Watches. This once again was Windup Watch Fair NYC 2022. We took a look at a handful of watches, but there are over 65 brands here, so we barely scratched the surface. For full coverage on that, check out wornandwound.com, and frankly, go there every day for more watch content. I want to say thanks again to Jack Mason for sponsoring this video. And if this video was informative, entertaining, irritating, please give us a like and subscribe. It goes a long way. Thanks, and see you next time.